Well, I have a problem. This problem isn't actually that small. It's quite significant because my vault is full and all my three characters are completely filled up. So what I'm gonna do, since I'm not touching PvP until Radiant Dance Machines are at least getting a slight nerf, is I'm gonna clean my vault today, and I'm gonna take you through and explain how much junk I have. If you watch the contest, Claire, this is literally what I was using to beat the final encounter. This is the shit. The only thing I didn't realize was my boots were very underpowered until after we beat them. Anyway, as you see here, I have a lot of junk, and I can just get rid of any of the weapons that don't seem interesting whatsoever. Alright, now it's the vault part. See, on the first page it doesn't really look that bad. Until I start turning. I start turning the pages. You see, I have some junk ARs right here. Mostly all the weapons I have mastered are guns that I have here for a reason. As you have seen in the past. This, just forget you saw that. But overall, a lot of items have gone just sent to my postmaster and just straight into my vault because what I like to do is click claim all whenever my postmaster is filled up. But you'll start to see a common problem. And that is that there's too many of them that get sent through and just unnoticed for too long. And I feel like maybe I'm the only one with this problem. I just am too lazy to delete shit because I'm getting so much junk all the time. What is tear? Precision final blows causes nearby targets to become severed. Does this work with Dragonfly? Well, if it does, that would be really good. Alright, now I managed to obtain 100 more spots. But I can change that very fast because I like to not have my characters filled to the brim with just random armor. So let me put everything that I have back into my vault. Okay, now comes the more difficult part of the video. I'm gonna delete anything that I don't think is a god roll, or if there's something I think I can obtain but won't use. So, guns like this is completely gone because I have this. And then I can hover over here. This thing is sadly not in the game, so that's why I'm keeping it. But then I can hover over here until I see a weapon that I'm displeased with, like this one. And for all my OG Multimech Model 8 lovers, I'm sorry, this thing is just not good, and I'll show you why. Because I have the new one, first of all. And something like this, I can also get rid of, because I'm definitely going to be farming for the new guns. And I've only gotten Fatebringer so far, but I can get my hands on a Praetor's Revenge if I really wanted to, and it's just going to be better. So, what I can simply do is just delete it, because I'm never going to use it. At least that one. And on top of that, the current Supremacy is simply just better. You can't obtain this anymore, sadly. This thing is coming back this season. I'm sorry, this thing is ass. And it's hard to delete crafted weapons too, because I feel like I've invested a lot of materials into it. Like this thing, let's be real, I'm never going to use this. And there's a reason I crafted this one. And the sad part about deleting crafted weapons is that you don't get the materials back. Sadly. Which means guns like these that I've spent materials on, I can't get the materials back, even though I know I'm never going to use this gun. Ever. I want to keep it because I've crafted it. And I feel like most people are stuck in that spot, but I know I'm never going to use this. Ever. It's just simply a wasted spot. In my Immortal grind, which, by the way, I never got the role I wanted, as much as this is going to hurt me, I'm never, ever going to use any of these. Because I have my Adept Immortal. Oh my god. For context, I've spent thousands of trials engrams just getting those, just for me to only use this one. And the only reason I'm saying that is because they buffed target lock. If they nerf target lock, I'm gonna be fucked, because then I just wasted so many engrams for nothing. One thing I do hope is that they return it someday, but I don't think I'm gonna see that. And guns, exotic specifically, that I've never used, I'm just going to get rid of, and if I ever want to use them again, I'll just simply pull them from collections. It's really that easy, and I think a lot of people struggle to do that, if you're struggling on space specifically. But if you're struggling on space, I'm going to keep it so real, just like get rid of junk you're never using. No one needs 700 space. At all. No one needs 700 slots. At all. This is at least the role that I was going to compare my Multimech to. It's just way better, and has Model 8, so it's the same scope, essentially. And this is another problem that I have. My roses. Which rose do I want to keep, and which one do I want to get rid of? Because I don't use rose that much, as you clearly can see in my kill counters. But this is the one that I've used the most, and this is the one that I like the most. But if I really want to use Rose and because I want to win, I would use this one. This one is my explosive payload slide shot one. But I also have the opening shot one, which feels insane too. The 9 Guardians who have died, they got killed pretty easily. This is the one you get for free, and I'm going to keep all 4 of them because they have different feels, and if I ever want to play around with them for a video, I can. It's that simple. But it really just sucks that you can't, get rid of a gun and you know you got the roll, and you can't get that roll back unless you actually farm for it later. Unless they're craftable. So overall, that's a really, really annoying thing total. Like this thing is just completely garbage. And I had it just because I wanted to test it. In general, auto rifles are guns that I really am not the biggest fan of, nor I really care for to use. But it really just sucks when there's a gun that should mainly just be craftable, because who cares for this gun? Like, guns that don't really matter, I feel like they should just be craftable, because then you don't really have to worry about getting the god roll if you ever want to use it. You can simply just craft the roll and you never have to worry about it. Like world drops. World drops should just be craftable so you can get it out of there as soon as you want, essentially, and never have to worry about it whatsoever. Another thing, this might be controversial for some people. I think the second you have a gun crafted, it should not be on the loot table anymore. A great example for that is Xur. Xur has this thing where he loves to drop you crafted weapons that you already have, for example. And the only problem with that is that it dilutes loot pool for guns that you actually would want, and I'll show you an example for me farming for such guns later. I don't actually know what the good rolls are on Mountaintop and etc., but if I delete something that I shouldn't have, that is unfortunate. I'm gonna keep the recombination roll though. And then you have a lot of guns that I feel like they just reprice for no reason with the same perks that you would go for anyway, shoot to loot, box breathing. And essentially, I'm keeping these guns because they're the special versions, no other reason. And this is a really bad roll, as most people will be able to tell, but I keep it because it's the golden version. I don't care for the normal one. This one just looks like the shittier version of the actual one. But I'm keeping it for that specific reason. And maybe that's really, really scummy or just a weird thing, but that's me for you. And for these ones, I can just get rid of them. I saw I had the 2 rolls that I wanted, and there's no real other reason to keep these. Another thing that I wish this game did, and this might not honestly just be me, but the second that you get to a certain power level, let's say max power, everything should be brought up to max power. So you don't really have to worry about, for example, leveling up every single piece of gear that you are eventually going to use in content where it matters, like Trials of Osiris, for example. That is my biggest problem, is that I have to infuse absolutely everything up to level just to use it in Trials. And especially when I want to pull up just random shit that kind of just sucks that I'm never going to use again. That is a thing that happens, and it kind of just sucks. And then I have something like this. The Adept for Barons is obviously better. But my old for Barons has so many kills on it that I want to keep it. So, do I get rid of my old forbearance and just use the new one? I'm just gonna do it like this. Some people might be butthurt over this, but I don't really care about kill counters in this game. That's, especially in PvE, I feel like that's just kind of like, what's the point, you know? But some people really appreciate their kill counters, and that's respect to them. But everyone is different. Like a gun like this. I don't honestly know I have this. I think this was the best roll at the time, but like, in actuality, I'm never ever going to use that. And I should kind of just know that from the beginning. And a gun like this, my funnel web, I've been trying to get the god roll for eons now, but I've yet to be able to get it, which would be max rangefinder killing wind. But this is the roll that I have been using, and this is the better roll that I currently have. But some people would value their 884 kills. I simply don't care. And like something like this, I don't actually know why I own this whatsoever. It was most likely for a testing in one or another video. Because I have anti-flinch, no distractions, max stability. And once I've used it, I'm never gonna care about it whatsoever. I used it for a testing, and that was it. And I have a bunch of those weapons all over, and usually just really cheap craftable weapons that I spend like maybe one alloy on, and then never again. And like guns like these, I don't actually know why I have the first one. This one has 20,000 kills. I can craft it back up again if I really wanted to, and then this one has 87,000 kills. And this one, you know, I've been using this for a while. Sadly though, they didn't have the weapon leveling thing, or I didn't apply it to the gun until way later, but it's only level 24 with 87,000 kills. And guns like these just kind of make me sad, because if aggressives were still meta, I feel like this thing would have been really, really good. But guess what, they're not. They're non-meta, but I'm still gonna keep on to it in case one day it suddenly becomes the best gun in the game again. But I'm just gonna keep the realistic mindset. Aggressive frame shotguns will probably never be meta. And if you saw the new loot table or perk table on good old Found Verdict, you'll know that. That was my final hope, and my final hope has been crushed. But there's a lot of guns that I want to use, maybe use one day, be like, oh my god, that's such a great roll, and then never go around to use it. Like this thing. And this is what I wanted to talk about. I've been trying to get a good 7 Seraph SMG for the longest time. I've been planning to make a video for it for over a year, and this is all the SMGs I've gotten from the Xur drop. 3 of them was in the same weekend, which is just absurd. Thinking about how rare I see this thing, 3 of them is from the same weekend is just absurd. I'm just sad that I'm getting constantly guns that I have crafted already from the loot table that I don't want, don't need, never gonna use, never gonna care for. But when the guns that I actually want, for example the 7 Seraph SMG, I just simply don't see it at all. And that's the problem with having over 100 different guns in a single engram, and they cap the material that you spend on it. If we never had the cap, I think I probably would have had over 1,000 strange coins that I could spend almost every weekend. But when I play Trials and I forget to go to the tower every 30 minutes, just turn in my strange coins, they max out. Luckily, they increased the cap by 100 strange coins this season, so you're going to be able to use a little bit more now and play a little bit more before you have to return to the tower. Now, I don't actually know why I own this one compared to this one, because I know I'm never going to use this one. And overall, the stats just looked worse every single way possible. And there are some guns that I'm just keeping for crafting purposes, like the garden weapons, even though I remember now that I deleted some of them earlier. And some guns that I just bugged, perk-wise, which would be like this. And this one, I shouldn't actually keep this one, mainly because it has opening shot. But the problem, and the thing I'm scared of, and this is probably going to bite me in the ass later, is that closing time gets nerfed. And if it does, then that's unfortunate. And there's other guns that I've been waiting. I've just been using this one until I get the God Roll. And guess what? I haven't gotten the God Roll. But I'm just going to use my Inquisitor until then. It's just like stupid things like that that makes me own guns that I shouldn't own, essentially. Or they're just filling up space or taking up slots that I know I'm never going to use it until I just have a filler one until I get that. Now, I don't know what actually rolls on this one, so that's the only reason I'm using Unvoiced. Another one that I'm keeping for craftable. I'm almost done with all the weapons already, which I'm surprised about. I thought I was going to use way longer on this, but most of the things I own for a reason. In case arc LFRs, single shot LFRs, become good again, I can just use Tarantula. It's just a good weapon. This is what I used to farm Lost Sectors on back in the day. And before then, you couldn't, like, you weren't forced to have Kill Tracker on your gun. So I just didn't put any on him. And this is like a role that I kind of scratch my head and wonder, why did Bungie give us this? If it had field prep, I would have understood it, but since it has tracking module, it just ruins the whole gun. And me not keeping my OG God Roll kind of hurts now, I'm not gonna lie. But what am I gonna do about it? Cry on Twitter? The one thing I definitely feel like is that a lot of guns in this game are just filler items. There's no real purpose to them except for filling up the loot pool, which is very unfortunate. This could have been a really good role for the GL, and I think I have it somewhere. I don't think I have it on any characters. This is essentially the God Roll for any heavy grenade launcher in the game. And if you think I'm crazy, it's because I'm not. I just know the meta, and I was using it. They even buffed those specific roles. I don't think I own it anywhere, actually. Maybe it's on my characters. Oh, I'm just blind. Yeah, this right here. If I had this as an adept, I would have been in heaven, because then I would have gotten 95. But luckily now I can enhance it. And it's not that big of a deal, because I can increase velocity and blast radius. So essentially, I can get to this, which is even better than what I already had. And now, essentially, I don't really need this, because it won't ever be able to compete to my non-adept one, which is unfortunate, but what can I do about it? And that's just some things that makes me sad, when I never got the God Roll. And just so you know, I was farming for that thing all day, all night when it came out, and I never managed to get it. I don't actually know what's the God Roll on this thing, but I'm assuming it's something like this, or something like this. Anyway, that would be essentially it. At least for the weapon-wise. I think I'm gonna do the armor off camera, mainly because I feel like the armor part is gonna make you fall asleep, and on top of that, all the armor is getting reworked anyway. So going through, I'll just keep pulling, because I have way more armor. Like, all my characters are still filled with armor. The thing that I really hate about armor right now, I feel like there's no proper way to keep what you want. Because even if it's a 68 roll, might be Artifice, it might have a bad stat split that makes you never want to use it ever. And I don't think Bungie's ever fixing that. Even with the new armor rework system, I don't think that's going to change. I feel like it's just going to be an RNG mess, and it kind of just sucks to suck. But eventually, hopefully, this armor right here, maybe this might hurt for some people, will just be all deleted. I can just get rid of every single piece and not worry about anything. Usually my role is, since I like to just extract everything from my postmaster straight into my vault, my rule is always going to be anything that's not enhanced or masterworked just gets instant deleted. And that's the rule I've been living by since 2020, brother. I just wish the Kydal farm still worked for armor, because the only one that really took advantage of that was my hunter. Literally every single piece of legendary armor is the Kydal armor set. And, hold up. I think I'm full. Are you oh my god. There's 2 items on my Titan so far, but my armor situation is very dire. Don't question me on the PKs, but my armor situation is very dire, and I have a lot of just junk. And some of this is for testing. It's the no mobility armor, for example. And this is armor that I use very frequently whenever I test mobility speed. And it just sucks that I can't just have infinite amount of armor spots in my vault. I feel like, I mean, even 700 is still way too much. I just don't like that there's a cap. Same with material, same with everything else. I just don't like the fact that there's a cap. As you see here, you get a lot of just junk from playing this game over time. And this is my Glimmer stock. Whenever I run out of this, I'm essentially out of Glimmer forever. Because, you know, the current Glimmer economy is completely fucking ass. And I don't know who at Bungie who designed it, but they need to get fired, genuinely, or just rework it. Remove the cap, for example. Because having this right here, the cap, is so unbelievably cancer. Anyway, I'm not gonna go through the armor on the video, but I hope you enjoyed it and give you a little bit more insight on my completely ass vault. I don't really have that many OG weapons, as you have seen, and that's mainly because I deleted them all. My spare rations, all my Black Army weapons, all of those, I all deleted them, mainly because I just never ended up using them, and that's mainly because they were sunset. But guns that you can pull from collections, I used Antiope a little bit. It's a very good feeling SMG still to this day, and it's mainly because it's 17 zoom. I think they should start giving us higher zoom SMGs again. I don't think they're gonna hurt that much, you know? This being our high zoom kind of just stinks a little bit. 16 plus rangefinder. That is actually more than my Antiope, because there's a 10% zoom increase. But like, I think they should stop being such Debbie Downers like these. What the fuck's the point of this? What, PvE? Who uses this thing in PvE? Please tell me. The only people who were kind of excited about this was like Stasis Behemoth players, I swear. Because this is a Stasis SMG. And there's just so much troll from what Bungie post drops gives us. Like this, most people would never ever try this because what the fuck is the point? You would just go for the role that is safe and very, very secure like this. This feels amazing. But no one's ever gonna use anything else. Maybe you go with moving target. Maybe that's your feel. But like, no one's gonna craft this when you have Immortal. Just be genuine. No one's gonna use this thing with Immortal being in the game. And there's so many weapons. Like, it doesn't really matter what handkin they come out that's a 140 because it simply will never ever be able to compete with Rose. Rose is a problem of every single kinetic legendary handkin in the game, no matter what. Maybe you will use Better Devils, hear me out, Better Devils for something like Slice, but that's about it. You would never use this over Rose feel-wise. This thing feels amazing though, but you would never use this over Rose. And same with this thing. Why would you use this when you have Criminal's Dagger? Even though it has Lone Wolf, which should on paper be a better perk than what Criminal's Dagger has, it still is just a worse overall gun. The model's clunky, and I just don't simply see a reason to use it with over Criminals. It's the same for every 120 in the energy slot. Why would you use any of them when this thing is in the game? There's just so many examples of this that just keeps on going. Same with SMGs. You have this, why use anything else? This is a problem, and it feels like a lot of guns that gets added are just filler guns that's never gonna have any appeal to almost anyone. But like this is a gun that I really enjoy. I think this gun is really cool, and I really wish there was a better way to get it. Sadly, though, I don't think it's going to get reprised anytime soon, and I don't think I'm going to get the Godroll anytime soon, even though it has 4 perks on each column, which is not a lot. I just don't think I'm seeing it because it comes from Xur, and it just makes it really annoying to farm for actual guns you would want. Some people say Xur's pull is completely useless, and I can agree to some sense. Half of his weapon pool is craftable, and the second you craft any weapons, then what's the point of going for them? Once you have it, you never need to worry about it. And if you think that's a problem, that's unfortunate. I think just the filler items should be craftable, and the guns that should be something that people want to obtain should be something you have to farm for, with an easy and proper way to farm for it. So you have a chance of playing the game while getting something you're after. I feel like there's not too much of that in the game at the moment, and that's just me personally. I'm also a PvP player, so I don't actually know what people want for PvE. But overall, I have most guns crafted. It's not really a hard, difficult task whatsoever. The one I'm missing the most of is snipers. But like Prophet of Doom, when you have the seasonal shotgun from last season, there's just simply no reason whatsoever to go for it. Some people are coping with Prophet, but like, let's be real. You're never ever going to use it over Scavenger's Fate. Anyway, that's kind of all I wanted to say, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Like I said in the beginning, I don't think I'm playing PvP until Radiant Dance Machine gets nerfed, so I'm going to be doing other stuff while that's going on. Anyway, I'll see you around, and I love you. Oh yeah, I managed to clean out my armors a little bit. I have around 40 slots open, which is not the best, but I feel like I have too much useless armor. Anyway, that's kind of all. And no, I'm not deleting my